Hello, beauties. Welcome to Moms Unboxed, a podcast where I unbox with you the how to's, tips, and tricks to empower women to upgrade relationships, intimacy, and parenting. I'm your host, Melanie Caroline, a multidimensional woman, life coach, lover, and mom who's made a lot of fucking mistakes. If you want to live a sensual and liberated life, you've come to the right space. Don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed because you don't want to miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Moms Unboxed. How y'all doing this week? I hope that you're well, and if you're not, I trust that it'll turn around for you. Today, we're talking about a little bit of a heavier topic, but one that I think many of us have gone through, and that is, can your relationship survive infidelity? Yes, mamas, that's what we're unboxing this week. I know it's a little bit heavier, but what I have to say and what I have to share is really going to truly open your eyes and help someone out. So if you know a mama or a woman who has experienced infidelity and is struggling to trust their partner again, please send them this episode. This episode is really going to be enlightening, and it's going to share a way that is going to help relationships rebuild. Most of my information today is coming from the Gottman Institute. They have done a years-long study of couples who have experienced infidelity, and they have come up with a process to help relationships rebuild that trust, that love, that connection that is very important, especially after cheating. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, I have been the cheater back in my early 20s, y'all, okay? And the person who has been cheated on. And let me tell you, neither one feels fucking great. They both fucking suck. When I did cheat, I was like 19 years old, and it was with my first time love. And I was lonely, I guess. I was bored. I wanted something more exciting, and I put myself in a very shitty situation where I was drinking a little bit too much, and I cheated. And let me tell you, ladies, it was not a fun cheat, okay? This was like I had pukey breath, and the guy kind of like it was bad. Okay, let's just stick with that. It was bad. It was not a fun cheat. It was not worth it. I felt so guilty and so miserable. I felt so much shame towards myself. As soon as I saw my love, like I broke down in tears. I didn't know what to do. It was devastating for our relationship. I'm I don't ever recommend it, okay? So if you are in a place in your relationship where you're like, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling unheard, I don't feel attractive to my partner, my needs aren't being met, girl, talk to your partner. Gottman says that the number one way people get into this cheating situation is that they stop talking to their partner about their needs, and they actually start complaining to other people about their relationship. So think about it. If you are miserable in your relationship and you don't feel like A, you're safe enough to talk to your partner, or B, you feel like your partner won't even listen to you, so you find someone else to talk about your relationship. And the person is going to be supportive, give you hugs, and the next thing you know, you're starting to flirt a little bit, and you're like, ooh, I'm getting all this attention. I feel like I'm actually attractive again. I'm having fun. I'm flirting, like, right? That's when the doors start opening to something more. And that something more leads to actually fucking devastating situation because next thing you know, you're cheating on your partner because of all this fallout that you didn't or couldn't communicate with your partner. So, my recommendation is find someone you trust to talk to them about your relationship, like a girlfriend, a sibling. Find someone that isn't going to put you in a situation that you're going to regret later. Okay. We often hear the dramatic stories of relationships ending after an affair, and it's true. Many do. But that isn't the whole picture, right? There are couples out there that want to rebuild and they want to renew their relationship. And Dr. John Gottman explores how some couples not only survive, but even thrive after infidelity. So let's take a second and look at the numbers, okay? So research suggests that anywhere between 60% and 75% of couples who experience infidelity actually remain together. Well, why is that? Because the two people are actually willing to put in the work and the effort to rebuild that relationship. John Gottman and his wife call this the second marriage. So once you cheat, once the infidelity happens, your first marriage is fucking washed. Like, nope, you have to look at things with a new perspective. You are rebuilding your second relationship or second marriage. And so it's important to kind of look at things in that way. It's like, okay, I can't change the past. Yes, we are going to have a shit ton of work to do to rebuild the trust, rebuild the connection. And that could take years. There is no timeline on how quickly a relationship needs to heal in order for it to thrive. So I want you to be so mindful and patient with yourself. There is no timeline, okay? So if you are that person who was cheated on, firstly, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. It is no joke. It's fucking painful. And people who have been cheated on oftentimes get PTSD. They get post-traumatic stress disorder because of all the thoughts that play in their head, the stories, the narratives, the questions. You're truly going through something significant and life changing. So give yourself that time to heal. There is no timeline, okay? So one study in particular by Dr. Andrew Christensen and Rebecca Marine, published in 2014 in the American Psychological Association, found that couples who successfully recovered from infidelity could not be distinguished in terms of marital stability or satisfaction from couples who hadn't experienced an affair. That's a powerful testament to the resilience and transformative power of dedication. So, in other words, their relationship became even stronger because what they had gone through, what they've experienced together, the amount of trust that they had to build, the amount of confidence and connection and communication that had to be built after the infidelity happened actually created a stronger foundation for their relationship. Now, I'm not saying, okay, let's make it clear. I'm not saying that you need to fucking cheat in order to have that, okay? Don't take it that way. What I'm saying is that situation for those couples made their relationship strong because of all the shit that they went through, right? That's like that quote, what doesn't kill us make us stronger. That's just a really good example of that statement. Factors that you have to consider to survive infidelity is having honest and open communication. So the Gottman Institute did the study and they came up with 3 stages in order to help couples recover from infidelity. And the first stage is the atonement stage. The atonement stage is the stage that the person who was cheated on has the ability to ask all the questions. Because when you're cheated on, you have questions. You are very curious about what the unfaithful partner did. You want to understand the details. How did you meet? How did this start? What did you begin talking about? Now, they did recommend that you don't ask specific questions about the sexual interaction. And here's why. Because the more questions you ask about the sexual interaction, the more your mind is going to create a picture. And when we create a picture, when we know the details, it's harder for us to overcome those type of details because it's literally images in your mind. And then you start dreaming about it or daydreaming. And you start getting very specific. Us women can compare everything, right? So, not asking specific questions about the sexual interaction is going to be best. Now, you can ask, how did you meet? How did this start? Where did you go? Like, when was this? There are several questions that you can ask your partner, and the person who is unfaithful must take 100% responsibility for their actions. They must show some remorse. They cannot shift blame. They cannot make excuses. They can't get defensive because they're the ones that fucked up. That's the reality of it. They're the ones that betrayed you. They need to be 100% understanding of all your questions and apologetic in order for the atonement phase to work. Okay. This is tricky, but it is crucial. The betrayed partner often needs to own their actions, take accountability in order for true healing to begin. The unfaithful partner needs to be transparent about what happened, why, and with whom. And you both need to be of the understanding that graphic details, like I said, about the sexual interaction needs to not occur or occur based on the level and amount of detail that you want as the person who's cheated on. But like I said, I don't recommend it because I just don't want you to have all those images in your mind, because once we get that sexual interaction seared to our brain, it's just harder to forget. And then that adds a whole nother layer of what we have to get through. Like knowing that they cheated, right, is a lot already. So give yourself grace and time to heal. So the goal is to be transparent for rebuilding trust and not inflict further trauma. So if the partner who is unfaithful is getting defensive, is making excuses, right? That's not a pathway to healing or any type of resolution in your relationship. And it's harder for a relationship to heal infidelity if the partner who was unfaithful is not taking any type of accountability. So the partner who is unfaithful needs to be able to hear your questions, help you through the waves of anger, sadness, and distrust. Like you've been completely betrayed, and they have to be able to hold the space for you. Because here's the reality of it. People who have been cheated on oftentimes go through some post-traumatic stress. They fear that cheating is going to happen again. They have fantasies of their partner cheating. They have difficulty sleeping. They may not want to eat, or maybe they're triggered to eat more. It could be triggered even after many years of working on the relationship. For instance, if you have had infidelity in your relationship and your partner shows up late, you could be thinking, oh shit, they're out cheating on me. Even after 2 years of healing and working on things and building that trust again, it can still creep in your mind. That fear is going to be something that is very difficult to just be rid of. The emotional swings that you are going to go through after infidelity has happened needs to be met with compassion and understanding from the unfaithful partner. They have done something very significant to erode your relationship, and they have to be understanding that shit might not be going away, 6 months later. And if you hear from your partner, can't you just get over it by now? Like, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. You're not going to rush me through my process of healing because you're uncomfortable with the way that I am processing it. So don't suppress your symptoms. Don't suppress yourself because you want to make the person that cheated on you more comfortable. If they are rushing you, they're not being understanding of you, don't allow them to push you through the healing, because healing is a process that you have to go through. They have to understand that they caused this, right? They have to be remorseful. And that doesn't mean, oh, I'm sorry, because that shit is not going to cut it. They have to vow to change their behavior. And that means that the unfaithful partner needs to understand what triggered this affair. What is it that they were seeking? What is it that they were not communicating that they needed? Is it a sex addiction? Is it that they just like the attention? Is it that they were feeling lonely or repressed, or they weren't meeting their own needs? What truly is the underlying issue as to why they cheated in the first place? And let me make this really clear. The problem is not to be shifted on you, okay? You are not the problem. You are not the reason why they cheated. That doesn't mean that perhaps something in the relationship shifted for the both of you, right? But you didn't go out and cheat. And if you are cheating on each other, then, that's a whole conversation in itself, right? But there is no excuse for breaking trust. There is no excuse to not be faithful in a relationship. So, trying to come together as partners that want to rebuild this second relationship or this second marriage, you have to be honest with each other as to what happened in the relationship for things to start breaking down. Because the reality is, things start breaking down within a person or the relationship far before the cheating actually occurs. They don't wake up one morning and they're like, I think I'm going to cheat on my wife today. Like, that's not how that occurs. This happens over a progression of time. Throughout that time, there has been breakdowns, whether it's in communication, in intimacy, in joy, in laughter, like whatever it might be that started breaking down. You have to be able to also hear and understand the unfaithful partner's perspective as well in order for this relationship to rebuild. So that is also part of the atonement phase, is building tools to rebuild marriage number 2. Recommitting your loyalty. It's working on your communication. It's working on how to be honest, how to talk to your partner. Phase 2 of rebuilding your relationship is attunement. And it's talking about, and I've already kind of covered some of this, it's talking about what you need. What went wrong in the relationship? As I said, understanding the breakdown that occurred in the relationship, whether it's small betrayals, disappointment, lack of communication, lack of intimacy, not understanding one another. In the attunement phase, it's like the groundwork for couples to reconnect emotionally and understanding each other's inner worlds. It's been focusing on bridging that gap that occurred in your relationship with open and empathetic communication. It's turning inwards and building that connection. In the attunement phase, you also want to practice active listening. So this means that you're not getting defensive. You're not gaslighting. You're not stonewalling your partner. You're just listening. It's also not to blame the partner. Like I said, this isn't about you did something wrong. It's about there was a breakdown within the relationship that you need to be able to identify in this attunement phase. So it's taking self responsibility and accountability and using I statements. I feel deeply hurt when, right? So it's not when you do this, I feel. So you're taking responsibility for your feelings, your partner is taking responsibility for their feelings, and you're validating those feelings because whether or not you feel like you did something or the unfaithful partner did something, it's like, okay, I obviously created these feelings to stir up when I did this. It may not have been intentional, which I hope it's never intentional to actively hurt our partner, but something you did created that feeling and emotion. And it's not up to you to decide whether or not those feelings and emotions are real for your partner. Okay. And I think this happens in relationships, not even talking about infidelity, right? You get into an argument with your partner, and your partner's like, I feel really upset when you don't follow through on your commitments. And it's like, well, no, you don't, because I do keep my commitments. And it's like, you don't get to tell me how to feel. That's not as a partner, it's not your place to tell your partner how they feel. And I think this oftentimes is the breakdown in a lot of couples communication because we don't feel like we did anything wrong. So keep that in mind as you are active listening, being mindful of not telling your partner how they feel. Your job is simply to listen and validate the feelings. Like, I hear that you feel sad when I do this. I hear that I fucking broke your heart when I cheated on you. Take that accountability. So, you want to have positive interactions during the attunement phase. You want to create new rituals of connection. Couples need to intentionally create these positive interactions and rituals by creating daily check-ins, going on regular date nights, trying out a new hobby together, creating small gestures of affection. And these small acts over time actually build, and they create like this small positive emotional bank, as Gottman calls it. And I love this perspective on rebuilding connection because I feel that this is actually really helpful for any type of relationship where they might be struggling to connect, to be intimate together, to have deeper conversations. And a lot of the time, it's like we put our relationship on the back burner and then we kind of forget, like, wait, how do we flirt? Like, how do we feel the way we did when we first met? So, building these new connections and building new rituals is really healthy in rebuilding that relationship number 2. Okay. So, attunement, again, is all about rebuilding the relationship. It's recommitting to each other. It's building the trust, communication, building that loyalty and that honesty so that your relationship can thrive. Phase number 3 of rebuilding that relationship is called attachment. So it's all about solidifying the bond and creating a secure future together. So, having consistent responsiveness. If an unfaithful partner needs to consistently demonstrate that they can be reliable, they can be trustworthy, not only through their words, but their actions. And my dad always used to tell me, and this is seared in my freaking brain, actions speak louder than words. Okay. And when you have the two together, when you have a partner who is saying the thing and then having the integrity to follow up with their words and what they say they're going to do, that's butter, right? Like that's what we want in a relationship. We want a partner that not only speaks a good talk, but actually follows through with it. Because there's nothing that erodes trust than a person that says they're going to do shit and then they never do it. The unfaithful partner needs to be absolutely transparent with everything. Like, you've lost the ability at that point for me to trust you. So yeah, I would want to know who you're texting. I want to know why you're coming home late, right? And I want to know before you're coming home late, why you're coming home late, right? So there is not a lot of leeway. It's like there's a very short leash, but it's showing up and it's being where you say you're going to be. It's being open about everything. Okay. It might feel restrictive to the unfaithful partner, but as I said, it's about rebuilding the relationship. It's not about how much freedom you're getting right now, because obviously there's a reason why we're here, right? There's a reason why we have to be very communicative. I'm not trying to, put you in a cage, nothing like that. It's just that this is what I need in order for this relationship to be solid once again. The attachment phase is also about rebuilding intimacy. Physical and emotional connection is extremely important in a relationship, and a relationship hardly survives without this. Both people are gradually rebuilding the physical and emotional intimacy at a pace that feels comfortable with both partners. This might be extremely difficult for the person who has been cheated on. Please know that you do not need to do anything that you're not comfortable with. If every time you fucking kiss your partner that cheated on you, all you do is have images of them kissing someone else, let's just take it back a little bit. Let's not force ourselves to do anything that we're not comfortable with, okay? Honey, this is about you and your timeline and your ability to heal. There is a point in time where you're like, okay, it's been a year. Yes, I still have these images that arise, but I'm going to be in control here and I'm going to explore what it's like to be more intimate with my partner. Okay. This requires open communication about your desires, your fears, your boundaries. How far are you willing to go intimately? It's all about what feels comfortable and safe for both partners. Okay. And you have to trust that the unfaithful partner is not going to go get physical with someone else because you don't want to get physical. That's not going to rebuild the relationship. In fact, multiple infidelities, like, yes, it's you can recover, but at some point you have to understand what's healthy for you in your life. Keep that in mind as you both are communicating, right? Hey, I'm not really wanting to get physical right now, but I do want to go on dates. I do want to kiss you. Let's see if we can get to second base. Whatever works for you as the person who is healing. Okay? Creating meaningful goals together. This is important. Is like, do you see yourself with that partner in the future? When you think about the person that cheated on you, the person that you love and you care about, do you still see a future with them? What kind of relationship do you want to create with that person? What are your joint goals and dreams? Do they still align? Do you want to create that new foundation built on similar values, morals? And do you understand each other? Do you know where your future leads together? And can you renew that commitment to, yes, I want a future with you. I want this life with you. Or you might come to the understanding of, no, I don't. And either one is okay. This is your life. Don't ever think that you don't have a choice. And I think that as women, we rely on the men. We feel like we don't have a choice because what happens if we leave? I don't want to be alone. I don't want to raise these kids by myself. And so there's a lot of things that our mind will tell us to make us believe that we don't have a choice. But let me here tell you, you do have a choice. We get this one life. You get to live it how you want it and with whom you want to live it with. And that's the number one important thing. If you feel like deep, deep down in your heart of hearts, you won't be able to get past this infidelity, that you won't be happy with this person, that there's just no fucking way, be honest with yourself about that. Okay? Be very honest, because if you're in phase 3, the attachment phase, which is all about recommitting yourself to your partner, and you know deep down it's just not going to work, honey, you're going to do more damage to yourself and your healing if you are not honest with you. Okay? I know I keep saying it, but you have a choice. Okay? I think all women need to remember, I have the power. I have the choice. So be honest with yourself. If you're like, yes, I want this relationship, talk about it. Talk about, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your new shared values? And recommit to each other. Have these conversations, okay? And then there's forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about telling the unfaithful person that you condoned the affair. It is about releasing the anger and resentment and the feelings of betrayal from your heart so that you can move on together. Like I said, that doesn't mean a year or two down the road you might not be triggered. This simply means I'm not going to hold on to everything that I fucking hate about what you did and make you suffer over and over and over again by bringing it up multiple times and getting in a fight about it. Because if we're in this forgiveness phase and we literally are just bringing it up over and over from a place of anger, right? From a place of blame and shaming the partner, you're not in this phase yet. You're not ready to forgive. But if you are ready to forgive, it's a process, right? It happens on its own timeline. But we have to be very mindful of like, okay, how do I truly release this anger and resentment that I'm feeling? And you talk to your partner about it. You know, you say, I love you. I woke up really angry today about what you did. And I'm working towards releasing this anger and this feelings of me being betrayed, but I'm struggling today. That's what we want. We want to communicate how we're feeling to our partner. It's much different than, I fucking hate you. I hate what you did to me. Don't fucking come home tonight. You know, that's not working towards forgiveness. That's like, hey, girl, you still got a lot of anger in you. Rightfully so, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not in the forgiveness phase yet. You're still in the, I need to fucking let out this anger. I need to cry. I need to do something for me so that I can release this. And I don't mean it like any type of timeline. Like I said, this is on your timeline. It's okay to be angry, okay? It is okay to be sad and devastated. It's just that you'll know when you're in the forgiveness phase, when you don't want to let that anger come between you and your partner. When you truly want to wake up with a healed heart, when you want to work towards rebuilding things with your partner, releasing that anger and resentment, and working towards that second relationship for the two of you. It's important to remember that dealing with infidelity is incredibly hard. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of vulnerability, and a lot of rebuilding trust in order for both partners to feel like they're safe to be in a relationship together. Okay? There's been a lot of devastation, and you both have to be willing to work through it together. So, for those of you who are committed, who are willing to work through the atonement phase, the attunement phase, and the attachment phase, and embrace that messy, you're going to come out stronger, more resilient. That's if you both choose to. If one person wants to work through it and the other person doesn't, well, you're at a fucking stopping point, right? You're in a fork in the road and you got to choose what direction you want to go down. And that's okay. There is no timeline to this type of healing. That's why I said you have to be honest with yourself. Do you want to work this out? Or do you want to remove yourself from the relationship? Either one is going to take mass amount of work in order to heal. But healing is possible and you are fucking strong, okay? You are resilient, you are tenacious, and you are almighty woman, okay? That is my saying this month. You are an almighty woman. You can do anything. Listen to your intuition. You got this. All right, mamas, that is it for Moms Unboxed. Can your relationship survive infidelity? That is up for you to decide, but testimony goes to show that people can do it. Send this episode to a girlfriend that you have that is struggling through healing her relationship, someone who might be going through infidelity themselves. And you can find these 3 phases on the Gottman website. Look them up on YouTube to hear about the atonement phase, attunement, and attachment phase. Thank you so much for joining me for another week's of Moms Unboxed. And come join me next week because I'm going to be talking about leaving the ex and healing through that. If you are that woman that decided, nope, this relationship is not for me, next week's episode is going to be fire. Come join me on the Moms Unboxed Facebook group. I would love to hear all about how you felt about this episode. Thank you so much. And don't forget to live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. Until the next time, sunshine. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of Moms Unboxed. If you have a topic or relationship question, connect with me at I am Melanie Caroline. And don't forget to follow Moms Unboxed. May you live a liberated, sensual, and unboxed life. Until the next time, sunshine.